Now we have two quantities that may sound similar at first, but describe two completely different ideas. Distance traveled asks, how much ground did the body cover in total? Displacement asks, where did the body finish compared with where it started? These are different questions, so they often have different answers. Imagine a person starting at home. The person walks 100 meters from the house to a store. Then the person turns around and walks 100 meters back home. For distance traveled, we count every part of the motion. The person walked 100 meters to the store and another 100 meters back. So the distance traveled is 100 meters plus 100 meters, which equals 200 meters. But displacement asks a different question. Where did the person start? At home. And where did the person finish? Also at home. The initial and final positions are the same. So the displacement is 0. This gives us the most important sentence in this lesson. Distance traveled remembers the entire journey. Displacement remembers only the start and the finish. Distance traveled is like a travel log. Every part of the motion is added to it. Displacement is like a single arrow on a map. The arrow begins at the initial position and points directly to the final position. This is why the magnitude of displacement can never be greater than distance traveled. The shortest connection between two positions is a straight line. The magnitude of displacement is the length of that straight line connection from the initial position to the final position. Any curved route, detour, or reversal can only make the distance traveled longer. Therefore, the magnitude of displacement is always less than or equal to distance traveled. This is not just a formula. It is a geometric idea. Suppose an object starts at point A and finishes at point B. It can travel directly from A to B, or it can follow a longer, curved route. The straight line arrow from A to B represents displacement. The length of that arrow is the magnitude of displacement. The total length of the actual route is the distance traveled. The actual route cannot be shorter than the straight line connecting its endpoints. Therefore, the magnitude of displacement is less than or equal to distance traveled. The two quantities are equal only in a special case. The body must move along a straight line without reversing direction. For example, suppose a person walks 10 meters in a straight line to the right. The distance traveled is 10 meters. The magnitude of displacement is also 10 meters. The actual route and the direct connection from start to finish have the same length. Now suppose the person walks 10 meters to the right and then 4 meters back to the left. The distance traveled is 10 meters plus 4 meters, which equals 14 meters. But the person finishes only 6 meters to the right of the initial position. So the magnitude of displacement is 6 meters. Why are the answers different? Because distance traveled adds every part of the motion. Displacement compares only the initial and final positions. This also means the distance traveled cannot decrease while the motion continues, but the magnitude of displacement can. As you walk away from home, both the distance traveled and the magnitude of displacement increase. When you turn around and walk back toward home, the distance traveled continues to increase. But the magnitude of displacement begins to decrease. If you return home, the distance traveled is even larger, but the displacement becomes 0. The physical difference is important. Distance traveled describes how much motion occurred along the actual trajectory. Displacement describes the overall change in position. That is why a car's odometer measures distance traveled. That is why returning to the initial position produces 0 displacement. That is why two people can have the same displacement but different distances traveled. And that is why the magnitude of displacement can never be greater than distance traveled. If this explanation helped, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your physics question in the comments. We will do our best to answer it.